Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. A family of 5 was shot and killed, and 2 police officers were shot and wounded when a brother-in-law went on a shooting rampage that eventually ended when he destroyed his family's home in a fire.
We continue to follow the latest developments from East Landsdowne. The Delaware County District Attorney confirmed the remains of 3 people have been recovered from the burned-out home following the shootings and fire yesterday afternoon. 3 more are still missing. Earlier, the DA said he believed the 6 missing people were presumed dead. The recovery operation has been suspended for the night. Prosecutors also say they recovered a rifle from the house. Meanwhile, one of the 2 officers who was shot was released from the hospital this afternoon, and both officers are expected to be okay. We're still trying to piece together exactly what happened leading up to the tragedy.
CBS Philadelphia's Ray Strickland spoke with the mother of the shooter who described what she saw happen inside of that home.
The events that unfolded inside of a home on Lewis Avenue in East Landsdowne are still hard to fathom. And for the woman who says she is the mother of the shooter, it's something Chin Lee could have never imagined. Lee, who did not want to appear on camera, says one of her sons shot 5 other people in her family and then himself. Lee asked her doctor to interpret for her. He details what she says went on inside the home before she and her husband escaped.
Did she tell you how they got out?
No, we don't know. Suddenly it happened so fast, okay? Nobody know what's happening. Nobody know what's happening. Suddenly he's upset and he used a gun.
Chin Lee says her son, Con Lee, had an argument with his young nephew and then started shooting. Lee says her son shot the boy, 2 other children, and his brother and sister-in-law before he killed himself.
I'm very sad, okay? That's why I try to help her.
And Lee also told me that the family moved here from Vietnam over 40 years ago and has been here in East Lansdowne ever since. She also says her son, Con Lee, was 44 years old, recently divorced and out of work. She also says he had no history of mental illness. Reporting in East Lansdowne, Ray Strickland, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Right now at noon, sources confirmed to CBS News Philadelphia that the remains of all 6 people have now been found in East Lansdowne. It follows a shooting and a fire at a home in that community. This has been a tragic loss for a local family. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jim Donovan. We'll have more on that new information in just a moment from the scene. But first, we want to show you these photos of the family that were sent to us this morning. They show Sue Lee, Brittany McLaughlin Lee, Xavier Lee, Natalia Lee, and Nikayla Lee. In a statement, the McLaughlin family says they will cherish the memories of their loved ones. They say they are grateful for people's prayers during such a difficult time, and they're asking for privacy while they process this loss. We want to turn now to Chief Investigative Reporter Joe Holden. He's live in East Lansdowne with an update on that recovery operation. Good afternoon, Joe.
Jim, good afternoon, and our sources confirming that all 6 bodies have been located and have been recovered and are now at the medical examiner's office in Media, Delaware County. This, of course, effectively wrapping up a very grim part of this overall investigation as we see some machinery continuing to sift through what is left of 58 Lewis Avenue here in East Lansdowne. Once again, all of the remains located and removed from this crime scene. Autopsies will now happen as prosecutors work to determine how each died. Detectives have faced dangerous conditions in their work to recover members of the Lee family. In their search, they did locate a rifle, as we've been reporting. Sources say it's believed that was the firearm used to shoot at responding officers from East Lansdowne and Landsdowne on Wednesday afternoon. We know that the shootings happened, of course, around 3:45 on Wednesday, the house then erupting into flames. Black smoke seen rising into the air for hours as the fire burned out of control until police determined there was no longer any threat to their officers or neighbors here. If you'll recall, investigators presumed all 6 members of the Lee family did not survive. Investigators also said they may never know who the shooter was, but as time does go on and interviews are conducted with other surviving members of the Lee family, as well as an analysis of evidence, the recovered rifle, and a review of 911 calls, there is the hope they'll be able to say who was responsible. The entire incident has rocked the William Penn School District. Children from the Lee family attended elementary, middle, and high school. The gravity of loss is now, of course, setting in here in East Landsdowne. We are expecting to hear from District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer with an update on where their investigation stands. We also expect that the District Attorney will tell us, in fact, that they have made all of those complete recoveries. And again, this very grim portion of the investigation has wrapped up. That is the latest for now. We are live in East Landsdowne. This is Joe Holden, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Thank you, Joe, for that update. Delaware County District Attorney's Office says the last remaining hospitalized officer is expected to be discharged this afternoon. He's 44-year-old John Meehan of the East Landsdowne Police Department. Meehan's being treated at Penn Presbyterian Medical Center for a gunshot wound to his arm. Chopper 3 was over that hospital yesterday as Landsdowne police officer David Shiaza headed home. He was shot in the leg. Shiaza is a 22-year veteran of the force. And of course, stay with CBS News Philadelphia for continuing coverage of the investigation in East Landsdowne. You can always get the latest on our website, cbsphiladelphia.com.
Now, in this alleged incident that took place in Landsdowne, Pennsylvania, 44-year-old Con Lay allegedly got into an argument with his 10-year-old nephew, and after getting into this heated argument with his 10-year-old nephew, Con Lay allegedly took out a rifle and allegedly looked to shoot and murder his 10-year-old nephew. Now, after hearing the gunshots that took place, the parents of Con Lay fled the home to save their lives, and as they fled the home to save their lives, they contacted 911, and as they were contacting 911 as related to the emergency in their home, this is where Con Lay went on a shooting rampage where he wound up murdering all of the members of his brother's family, including his wife and his 2 other children, and even murdered his own brother before rushing up to the attic of his parents' home. And as he rushed up to the attic of his parents' home, this is where police responded to the scene. And as they were responding to the scene, Con Lay allegedly shot at them from the attic, winding up wounding both of those officers. And as those officers called for backup, then Con Lay allegedly set his family's home on fire. And as the home was burning, it is alleged that Con Lay took his own life after participating in the shooting rampage and destroying the home that his parents went out here and bought and built for the entire family 41 years ago. Now, the police in Landsdowne see this as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of Con Lay's alleged behavior, it fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that Con Lay was possibly a man in crisis for many years, and he was possibly a ticking time bomb as far back as 2006 when he was in Middletown Township, about 12 miles away from the Delaware County Chester border, and there Con Lay was charged with making terroristic threats and trespassing and disorderly conduct. However, those charges were dismissed, and Con Lay wound up getting community services for his charges through a diversionary program. Now, it seems like that didn't really work for Con Lay, because since then he has been a ticking time bomb, and he has possibly been seething and boiling in anger, and he's possibly been seething and boiling in anger as related to not only this incident that he had with law enforcement, but also dealing with a divorce from his previous wife. Now, Con Lay was previously married However, his marriage fell apart, and as his marriage wound up falling apart, he had to return home to his parents. Now, in Asian culture, this is considered to be a very shameful thing to happen to a man, because a man is supposed to be able to lead himself after he finishes school and goes out here and is able to go to work. He is supposed to be running his own household, and this whole divorce basically was a major embarrassment for Conley as related to his parents, and his parents possibly were dealing with this man who had basically, in their eyes, had lost face, because as a member of the Asian community, for a man to wind up being divorced, this is a major loss of face, because it says that this man cannot lead. So Conley was dealing with a lot of ego and self-esteem issues, and those issues were exacerbated by his brother, who was sitting there living in that home with a successful family. I mean, Conley's brother was out here and he had a full family with children, which is considered a major accomplishment in Asian culture. However, this family was one that was an interracial family, and Conley's brother was married to a black woman. And as he was married to this black woman, I believe that basically caused a lot of ire in Conley, because there are some Asian men who are very racist, and the whole idea of living inside of a home with a brother who had a successful marriage to a black woman and had biracial, half-black Asian children, this possibly was something that made Conley seethe and boil in anger, because he was supposed to be the one who was supposed to have the alleged superior family. I mean, possibly he was married to an Asian woman and thought, oh, he was going to have the superior family over his brother, but possibly the divorce made it where he felt basically he had lost face, and now his brother was going to go on and have a legacy of a family, while he was in a place where he had lost face. And in that place where he had lost face, he felt like less of a man, and he felt like less of a man because here was this man, his brother, who had a family with a black woman and had a black family, and they were doing better than him, and that basically made Conley possibly feel very emasculated about himself as a man, and made him feel so emasculated that it made him basically feel powerless every day. Because for a man, again, to go back to the home of his parents and go back to living with the family, as he is in the same home with a brother who is with his wife and with his children, basically he is not going to be as seen as somebody important in that home. No, he's going to be told to take a back seat to the family and take a back seat to the elders, and that basically led to Conley, I believe, seething and boiling in anger quietly, because with a lot of beta males, they simmer and boil in anger very quietly, and they simmer and boil in anger in the background very quietly, because they're frustrated about losing not only their face, but also losing their power as a man. And that possibly was what led to the boiling point for a 44-year-old man to wind up getting in an argument with a 10-year-old child. Because any 44-year-old man, they usually know how to navigate through their emotions, and they know how to navigate through their emotions, especially when they're dealing with a child. Usually, adults don't take children very seriously. However, most beta males, because most beta males don't really know how to deal with people because they have poor interpersonal skills, they have poor critical thinking skills and poor conflict resolution skills. Many of these males do not know how to function as related to dealing with people in situations, and because these men must basically wind up acting on their impulses emotionally, they wind up taking rash actions, and that's basically what happened here with Conley. He basically wound up exploding in rage after he got into an argument with a 10-year-old, and instead of him understanding that this is a child and you don't take what a child says to you seriously, he wanted to retaliate against this child because this was the breaking point for him as related to all the power he had lost as a man, and he felt the only way he could get his power as a man in that Asian family was to destroy the family that he had around him, because he felt like he could not get any power in society overall as related to life, because he couldn't get power to maintain his marriage, he couldn't maintain his own home, he couldn't maintain his own family, and because he felt like he couldn't have power to have those things, this is where he went to destroy his family's home, and went to destroy his family because he didn't want his brother, who he considered to be lesser than he was, to be considered to have a legacy. And sadly, as he wanted to destroy his brothers being the one who would have the legacy, what he wanted to do was basically destroy the entire legacy of the Lay family, sadly, here in America. Because the only people who survived were the matriarch and the patriarch, and they basically wound up losing their home, all because the son that they had did not understand anything about how to make a life in the world for himself, and because he didn't understand how to make a life in the world for himself, he wound up destroying everything his family had as related to family and legacy, and destroyed his family home that his parents bought 41 years ago and looked to establish a life in East Landsdowne, Pennsylvania. Sadly, that's what happens when you have a beta male as a child. The beta male, because they get caught up in their feelings about their feelings of powerlessness, what they do is act impulsively, and as they act impulsively, they wind up destroying everything around them, and that's sadly what happened here as Conley went on his shooting rampage, first murdering a child. I'm not going to say killed a child. He murdered a child over an argument, then went and used that as a justification to participate in the murder spree, where he went to not only murder his brother, but murder all of his children, then went to go shoot at these police officers, and then went to burn down his family's home, and did all of this because he was just angry because he could not be the man of the family, and because he couldn't be the man of the family who could be the new head of the family as the heir when the parents died, he wanted to destroy everything, and that's basically what he did in this shooting rampage that tragically took the lives of innocent children, because this male was angry that somebody else was going to be a man who he thought less of, possibly because he's probably thought, oh, he's married to this black woman, and because he's married to this black woman, he's less of a man, and he wasn't going to be in a place where this man had more power than he did. So that's possibly was the main motive for murder, because with this male, he was feeling insecure, he was feeling inadequate, he was feeling emasculated, and he never understood how to take his power as a man, because while he was in his parents' home, he could have started working towards rebuilding his life. Unfortunately, all he wanted to do was wallow in self-pity, and as he wallowed in self-pity, he basically got to the point where he felt he was emasculated when a 10-year-old bested him, and instead of him understanding what most 44 or men of our age range, because he's a Gen Xer, should have understood, okay, this is a 10-year-old. I'm not going to take an argument with a 10-year-old seriously. If things get hot, what I'm going to do is walk out of the house and go chill somewhere and cool down. But instead of cooling down, this beta male got heated, and as he got heated, he went and participated in this just horrific crime that destroyed everything his family worked for. And if everything starts to eventually come out, it might be something over something trivial, because when beta males get upset like this, it's usually over something trivial, because to argue with a 10-year-old, I mean, that is just some kind of twisted. But that's what beta males do, because beta males, again, everything with them is about power, everything with them is about control, and because they don't feel like they can control anything to build, what they do is destroy everything around them. And sadly, in this case, what this beta male did was destroy everything that his family had and left his mother and father with absolutely nothing. But this is what happens when you have a male who does not know how to be a man, but turns everything into a disaster, because these men just do not know how to function in life. And because they don't know how to function in life, they destroy everything around them. And this is where these males just wind up becoming so dysfunctional that they never really think about the consequences of their actions. No, because these males are acting on their feelings impulsively. All they're thinking about is how they feel at the moment, and all they're thinking about is how they feel, never once saying, hey, I gotta think about somebody else. No, it's all about them and their feelings, and that is due to the dysfunctional way these guys are raised. Due to the dysfunctional way these guys are raised, they don't understand how to consider other people, and that's what makes them dangerous, because everything has to go their way in order to make their world smooth. And when their world gets rough, they look to destroy the world around them. And that's basically what Conley looked to do. And that's basically what led to him destroying everything his family owned, as this male just basically showed he was not a man who was ready to do the work of a man. Sadly, at 44 years old, he showed the world that he wasn't ready to be a man, but he was just another man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about what leads to males like this winding up on a dysfunctional life paradigm that leads to them basically destroying the world of all around them and that of all of the people around them, and how to prevent these people from doing damage to your life with their dysfunctional behavior, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about The Man Crisis, you can send a donation of a minimum of $15 to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati on Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.